3 years ago, I reached out my hand to greet a man, and he refused to touch it. The room was humming with polite chatter, the kind of professional noise that makes everyone look busy and important, and yet for me, everything went silent. I smiled, said hello, and extended my hand the way any Western professional would. He glanced at it, offered a small apologetic smile, placed his hand over his heart, and nodded. I withdrew my hand, heat rising to my cheeks, telling myself to laugh it off, to pretend it didn't matter. Inside, it did. I drove home replaying it, thinking, it was just a handshake. Why turn that into a scene? I didn't know it then, but that tiny moment was the first breadcrumb on a much longer road, my journey to Islam. Life in the Middle East had wrapped around my days. Mosques traced the skyline. The adhan measured time more precisely than any clock. People paused the rush of business to line up shoulder to shoulder in prayer. Islam was everywhere, but not yet within me. I called myself open-minded, but I didn't ask real questions. I heard, but I didn't listen. One afternoon, over coffee with a friend, a single sentence shifted my axis. We believe in Jesus. I blinked. She went on. We believe in Maryam. We honor Mary. We believe in the virgin birth. I stared at her, feeling the ground tilt and steady again. A bridge I'd never seen appeared between the faith I inherited and the faith surrounding me. It was the first line of a Muslim convert's story I didn't know I was writing. That comforted me, enough to stop. We share something, I told myself. That's nice. I didn't ask what Jesus and Islam truly meant. Didn't ask about his message, his mission, his end, or his promised return. I cracked a door and then closed it. As the months turned, I began noticing what I used to ignore. Boundaries between men and women weren't cold walls. They were living principles. Modesty wasn't an aesthetic. It was a language. That refused handshake returned to me with new light. He hadn't rejected me. He had respected me. He was living his faith, and I had mistaken dignity for disdain. My pride had been loud, my understanding quiet. Curiosity finally won. Late nights found me alone with an English Qur'an translation and my restless questions. I didn't want opinions about Islam. I wanted Islam. I wanted the source, the revelation, not the rumors. And then one verse arrested me. They did not kill him, nor did they crucify him. It was made to appear so. Allah raised him. I read those words again and again. Jesus, Isa, peace be upon him, was not crucified. This wasn't an argument. It was a testimony, a claim of truth. I felt the story I'd carried since childhood lift and turn, revealing a side I had never seen. Sleep abandoned me. Every assumption I had about faith demanded a second look. I remembered all the times I'd said, we believe in Jesus too, as if we were telling the same story. We weren't, and yet nothing in me slammed shut. A quiet voice whispered, keep going. It wasn't rebellion pushing me forward, it was relief, the quiet kind you feel when you finally admit the question that's been asking you. I read more, I asked more, I found scholars and explanations. I discovered a rhythm in the Qur'an. Clarity without arrogance, mercy without indulgence, law with spirit, truth with tenderness. This wasn't a philosophy auditioning for my approval. It was guidance calling me home. For the first time, finding Islam didn't feel like discovering something foreign. It felt like remembering something familiar. When the moment came, my body trembled. I stood with witnesses and spoke words that felt like unlocking an old door. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. My Shahada story didn't explode like fireworks. It settled like rain after drought. A pressure I'd learned to live with lifted so quietly that only my heart heard it. It was revert to Islam, not as a trend, but as a return. A homecoming I hadn't known how to name. But I won't paint it as if everything turned easy. Conversion to Islam brings peace, yes, but grief too. When you're the only Muslim in your family, silence gathers where laughter used to live. Some friendships thin to a whisper. Relatives look at you with concern that bruises, with worry that stings. You practice new habits with clumsy hands. You learn to pray with a toddler's wobble while the world moves like a marathon around you. The beauty of a Western Muslim life at first is edged with the ache of being misunderstood. During Ramadan, on day 7, I stood near the back of a mosque for Taraweeh. After the prayer, a man stepped forward to take the Shahada. I watched relief, fear, and joy cross his face. Tears blurred my vision as memory replayed my own trembling vow. I whispered a prayer for him, guide him, hold him, make his steps firm. I knew there would be a sense that would burn and valleys that would bless, just as there were for me. I left the mosque and slid into my car. A storm rose in my chest for no clear reason. The voice inside scolded me. You are safe and blessed. Others across the world are suffering unimaginably. Why are you crying? Guilt stacked on sorrow until I could hardly breathe. I shut off the engine, went back inside, found a quiet corner, and let the dam break. Not pretty, not tidy, raw saltwater grief. In sujood, forehead pressed to the carpet, I admitted what I had tried to carry alone. I am overwhelmed. I am grateful. I am scared. I am hopeful. I am learning the ordinary courage of a Muslim convert, the small heroism of showing up. When I finally sat up, nothing external had changed. My family hadn't suddenly understood. The road hadn't shortened, but something inside had been rearranged, softer, steadier. I realized this Islamic journey is not about never falling. It's about never refusing to rise. It's not about perfect knowledge. It's about honest surrender. I wasn't performing for acceptance. I was responding to mercy. If you asked what I lost, I could list names, habits, rituals that no longer fit. If you asked what I found, I'd tell you about dawn's quiet when Fajr reorders your soul. I'd tell you about the Qur'an answering questions you hadn't framed yet. I'd tell you how Jesus in Islam is not a slogan. It's luminous, honored, protected, raised. Loving him rightly did not erase my past. It completed my understanding. I didn't abandon Jesus. I learned to love him as a prophet of God, as a sign of mercy, as truth safeguarded by the one who writes all stories. Looking back, the puzzle pieces click. The refused handshake that humbled my pride. The coffee conversation that built a bridge. The ayah that shifted a foundation. The Shahada story that wasn't a headline but a vow. The first Ramadan that tasted like new breath. The loneliness that pressed in, and the relief of prostration that pressed me down only to lift me higher. This is my Muslim convert story, and also a wider one. Every sincere seeker is seen. Every step toward truth is met by a mercy that runs to greet you. No one forced me. No one sold me a brand. I didn't wake up chasing a trend. My path wasn't a leap. It was 1,000 small steps, each a yes inside a harder yes. I learned that conversion to Islam is not a switch. It's a door you choose daily. Some days I stride through with certainty. Other days I inch forward with questions. On all days I am carried. Now, when I remember that first meeting, the hand over the heart, the nod, I see the kindest refusal I ever received. It was a mirror I didn't want but needed. It invited me to listen, not just to culture but to revelation. Not just to noise, but to the voice that called my name. It taught me that boundaries can be love, that dignity can be devotion, that what feels like rejection can be direction. If you're reading this from the far side of the same bridge, nursing the ache of curiosity, hear me. Finding Islam is not erasing who you were. It is unveiling who you are. If your heart keeps asking, let it ask. If your nights are restless, let them search. If your pride resists, let it learn humility's language. The one who guided me through the corridor of doubt into the light of certainty knows every turn of your road too. 3 years ago, I reached out my hand and learned that a gentle no can begin the truest yes. Today, I place my hand over my heart and speak the words that steadied my world. I am a revert to Islam. I am a Western Muslim, learning, stumbling, returning. This is my Islamic journey, my living testimony that when you walk toward the truth comes to meet you faster. And if you wonder whether you can cross that bridge, listen to someone who did. Your heart already knows the way.